So the reason that I'm running is all about where I see the world right now. So my career was all about understanding change. Understanding change, whether it was investments, the dot-com boom, the bubble, the bust, different changes around the world, Bitcoin, things like that. I've usually been pretty good at kind of seeing what's next and understanding change. And there's something that I've thought about for a long time, since the 90s. There was a book that I read called The Fourth Turning. And it talked about how every 100 years or so there are these cycles where everything changes. Everything in our world changes. Maps change, borders change, who we trust change, systems change. And this happens again and again like clockwork in human history. In this book, written in 1996, it predicted that we would have a fourth turning right about now. And these authors, Strauss and Howe, they're not alone. They're not unique historians. There's a lot of people who have studied this phenomena, that things go through these shifts. And like I say, every 100 years or so. And every few of those changes, you have these even more epic changes, epoch shifts, where the whole world becomes completely unrecognizable. We have the French and American Revolution, or the advent of the printing press, things like this that completely change the world. But even a regular fourth turning is very, very significant. 100 years ago, borders change, maps change, money changes, everything changes. The way that people think, even religion, even beliefs, core beliefs, what words mean, change. And now, it should be very, very clear to anybody, even if this is the first time you've ever heard of a fourth turning, it should be very clear. We're in this right now. There's no doubt about it. These are not normal times. They are not normal times at all. We're in times of epic change. And if I sat here or spoke to you 2 years ago or 3 years ago and told you what the world was going to look like, if I told you that a scientist was going to have the power to make you wear a mask, or have your nurse fired for not having an injection, or make your kids wear a political signal on their face, you would have said, not in my America, that can't happen. Well, you would have been wrong, because we've been hit by radical change. And it's everything's changing. Old powers, the IMF, the World Bank, the Clinton Global Initiative, they're gone. CNN, New York Times, gone. Joe Rogan, TikTok, Bitcoin, Gen Z, that's what's on the rise. Everything is shaking up. And the reason that I'm running, the reason this is important, is because we're going to go down one of two very radical paths. The change is not over. The decade of the 2020s is not going to be marked like, oh, the first couple of years were a little weird and then everything went back to normal. No, they won't. It's not going back to normal. The world of 2019 and before is gone. That world's gone. The world we grew up in, 70s, 80s, 90s, all the rules and everything that we learned and everything we built our worldview on is for a world that is gone. The bubble's been popped. It wasn't COVID that popped the bubble. It was the tyrant's reaction to COVID. COVID didn't close a single business in the world. Politicians closed businesses. COVID didn't cost jobs, politicians cost jobs. This is the pin that popped the bubble of an unsustainable economic disaster that started in 2008 and before. 1971, really, when going off the gold standard, going from real money, sound money, backed by gold, to fake money that politicians can print from thin air. And with that came economic ruin, and most importantly, lack of accountability. In World War II, when they needed money, they would have sent somebody in here to a room like this, a war hero usually, who would have had to come and convince folks just like us, please, please fund the war. The Nazis are a serious threat. Don't you see what they did at Pearl Harbor? They would have had to ask you for your money, even for World War II, even to fight Nazis. They don't have to ask you now. You're a milk cow that they can print a button from. They don't even need to steal it out of your wages anymore. They can print a button, and from thin air, they can give $500 billion to buy that land that you mentioned. They give it to BlackRock. They give $500 billion of your money. That's theft. It's fake money. They've broken the money. The entire system is broken. It's completely shaky. It's falling apart. It's phony. So we're going to go down one path or another. Our world is going to be radically different than it is right now. This Senate seat is a 6-year term. We're not going to be talking about 3% tax, this or that, or the Kardashians, or whatever other nonsensical issue, January 6th hearing. We're talking about the future of our nation. We're talking about whether we go down a path of human rights and freedom and the Constitution and Bill of Rights and our core values as Americans, or we go down a path of tyranny and central control and boots on our kids' heads for a generation. That's what we're facing. This isn't a joke. This isn't normal times. This isn't 2019. It's not 1996. These are epic times that nobody alive has seen. Unless you're 110 years old, nobody alive has seen times like this. Your playbook is out the window. This is different than any other election you have ever lived through. There is more at stake. Look at our world. They're trying to redefine what words mean. You would have never believed it. You would have thought I was crazy if I would have told you that a scientist was going to have this power. And look at what they did. We've let them forget already. They don't want this meeting to happen. They don't want you to have your freedom. And if we don't win this and we send Maggie Hassan down back there, these meetings won't happen. They will know that they got away with it and they will do it again. And it will be even worse. And that's the end of our country. When they implement something like social credit scores or central bank digital currencies, which allow them to shut off your money at the blink of an eye, we know they have the will. They already use government power, which they should not, to interfere with social media, to tell us what to think and tell us what is true. They would shut your money down. And in a digital world, if they shut your money down, that's game over. It's game over. We're one bad politician away from losing everything, because this meeting couldn't exist. And we wouldn't be able I wouldn't be able to run because I wouldn't be able to buy gas to come here. That's what we're facing. And the thing is, it's a real threat because of this shaky, crazy time that we're in, where we're in this epoch shift where the whole world is unraveling and changing. It's going to come out on the other side one way or another. We're either going to build it back better the way that Trudeau and Lagarde and Biden want, or we're going to build back better our own way. And that's what I'm excited about. I'm a disruptor. I'm a troublemaker. I'm a guy who got kicked out of 4 or 5 school board meetings, removed by police. I've been a disruptor my whole life. I'm a troublemaker, usually a productive troublemaker. I've done well in my industry. I've broken barriers and done cool stuff. And that's exactly what we need right down there. We need somebody who is not a politician, who's not a part of this system, who's not afraid to go down there. And you asked about your reaction to these kind of mandates. I would never, ever, ever comply with these mandates or ever support anybody with these kind of mandates. The government has absolutely no business. And a lot of people say that, but I have the will to do it. I've been removed by police. I will fight like crazy. For example, the other day, I think it was a week ago Monday, as an example in honor of the filibuster, Joe Biden wants to end the filibuster. He doesn't want the power of one voice to be able to stand. I think that's a good power. So I looked it up. The record was 24 hours, 18 minutes by Democrat Strom Thurmond, who was speaking in opposition of the Civil Rights Bill. So I went out to Manchester to the Even Hotel, and I opened it to the public, and I said, I'm going to try it. I'm going to see how long I go. I made it 33 hours, 9 minutes, nonstop. I took open questions from the public, unfiltered open questions from the public. I talked just like this. That's not something you can fake. It's not something I think any politician in history has done, and I was doing that for fun. You send me down to Washington, D.C., I'll do that every Friday. They have these fake meetings on Friday, They open the session at noon and they close it at 12:01. If they pull this kind of stuff, if they're going to do what they did to us, then New Hampshire can send the best message the United States of America can send, because the whole country's watching. You send me down there, I will be that message. And I will fight relentlessly, absolutely without fail, against tyranny, against abuse, against expansion of government, against expansion of the tax base, and for human rights and freedom and the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, without fail, without compromise. Where I stand on positions is easy. It's easy. Anything you ask me, the answer is pretty much no. I don't want the government involved.